they will not say, so I use it to build connected identity.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. The angel of the Lord declared unto Mary, and she conceived of the Holy Spirit. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed are you among women, and blessed. Amen. Behold, the handmaid of the Lord, be it done unto me according to your word. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Behold, the handmaid of the Lord, be done unto me according to your word. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. The Word was made flesh, and it dwelt among us. Hail Mary, full of grace, Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Pray for us, O Holy Mother of God, that we may be made worthy of the promises of Christ. Together we pray. Pour forth, we beseech thee, O Lord, your grace into our hearts, that may by his passion and cross be brought to the glory of his resurrection, through the same Christ our Lord. Amen. Beloved in Christ, you are welcome once again to living streams of water. Today we would like to reflect with you the Thursday of the 8th week in ordinary time, where we also celebrate the memorial of Saint Dominic, priest and confessor. Saint Dominic was born in Spain in the year 1170. After his theological studies, he was ordained and later became a canon. He lived and preached in the evangelization about poverty, gathering around many of the people, and also forming the order of preachers, which we call the Dominicans. Beloved, he lived at a time when there was an issue of what he called to the readings from the book of Numbers, chapter 20, the verse 1 to 13. In those days, the sons of Israel, the whole congregation, came into the wilderness of Zin in the 4th month, and the people stayed in Kadesh. And Miriam died there and was buried there. Now there was no water from the congregation, and they assembled themselves to contend with Moses and said, Will that we had died when our brethren died before the Lord? Why have you brought the assembly to the Lord into this wilderness, that we should die here, both we and our cattle? And why have evil place? It is so place. It is no grain for place, no fig, no vine, or pomegranates, and there is no water to drink. Then Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly to the door of the tent of meeting, and fell on their faces. And the glory of the Lord appeared to them. And the Lord said to Moses, take the rod and assemble the congregation, you and Aaron your brother, and tell the rock before their eyes to yield its water. So you shall give drink to the congregation and their cattle. And Moses took the rod from before the Lord, as he commanded him. And Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly together before the rock, and he said to them, hear now, you rebels, should we bring forth water for you out of this rock? And Moses lifted up his hands and strike the congregation drunk, and strike the rock with his rod twice. And you did not believe in me to sanctify me in the eyes of the sons of Aaron, the sons of Israel, before you shall not bring this assembly into the land which I have given them. These are the waters of Meribah, where the sons of Israel contended with the Lord, and he showed himself holy among them. The word of the Lord. My dear brothers and sisters in Christ, there is something that I want you to understand about God. You realize that the first instant when they were crying out and looking for what they want it to become, what happened? God gave them what they were looking for. The commandments he gave to them. He also gave them what they needed. And afterwards, he explained to them what needs to be done. As I said, one day, one of the Bishop Emeritus, the Archbishop Emeritus of Tamale, made mention in one of his sayings to his seminarians. He said, between the lip and the cup, there are many slips. I'm quoting from Archbishop Emeritus Pebaya Gregory Ibo. He says, between the cup and the lip, there are many slips. This has a very deep thinking in today's word. What do I mean by that? Each and every one of us, sometimes when we experience God's blessing in our lives, at a point in time when things are going to succeed, you realize that there is a slip towards something, and we do not understand why it is so. We need to check the way we listen to God. Why do I say this? When the people were grumbling, when they were contending against Moses and Aaron, they went before the Lord and they bowed their faces. Go, gather all the assembly and speak to the rod before them. God didn't ask them to strike the rod. He says, speak to the rock and water will gush forth. And what happened? They went out of anger, out of frustration, out of unnecessary jealousy, out of any other thing that is not of God. They said, look, you rebels, are we to get water out from you, from this rock? Then he took the rod and strike the rock. My dear brother, my dear sister, in our own life, we should be very, very careful about the instructions that God gives to us. He will not give you something that is beyond you, and he will not give you something that is so much that you cannot do. But he gives you everything according to your own strength and your own will. If he have asked you, says, gather everybody, When you gather everybody, speak to the rock so that water will gush forth from it. My dear brother, my dear sister, sometimes that is how our life become. We are asking God for many things, and he is instructing us to do something. A little bit of suffering, a little bit of pain, a little bit of something that will come out from it. We don't like that particular thing. We want to do it our own way. And when we do it our own way, that way, he knows how he will provide for you. And he knows how he continues to provide for his children. He knows what is good for his children. But remember, when you contend against God and he instructs you, do as he has said. Don't use your own imagination. Don't use your own strength, because you are not the one who created yourself. He knows you better than you know yourself. And he created you out of nothing. The dust from the ground, he molded you and breathed unto you. So he knows who you are. He knows your strength, and he knows what you can do. My dear brother, my dear sister, know that as you wait upon the Lord and he instructs you, do as he has said. Another thing that I want you to also take note is about the behavior of the human person. You know, we are looking for things in such a way that we must get it. God says, you have got to Canaan. Go and spy and come. You are going to go around and go into it. You ask for food, he has given you. You ask for something else, he has given to you. Now you are remembering the people that you are not having pomegranates to eat. You are not having this to eat. As I made mention in my former audio, you know, the insatiable nature of man. Today you have a bicycle, you are crying for a motorbike. Tomorrow you are crying for a car. Another time you are crying for an aeroplane. When would you be satisfied and content with what you have? Beloved in Christ, let us know that when these things are coming in, it means that we are putting within ourselves envy, jealousy, backbiting, because in as much as you want to get something out of what you are not, you intend to be like others. But can you think to be like who you